Chapter 8, Journey into the Interior. Now that Jenny had said it, it seemed to Meg the only logical, the only possible course of action. If they were to save Charles Wallace, if Farandali were causing his illness, if the Echthroi were at work within him as well as without, then the only hope was for them to become small enough to go into one of his mitochondria and see what was happening with Farandali. Metron Ariston, Calvin spoke softly, size, where size doesn't matter. But to be small as the galaxy is huge. Can you make us that small? But Jenny smiled. Size is really quite relative. Anyhow, Meg looked at Sparrows. We're already talking with Farandola. If she had tried to imagine a Farandola, it would not have looked like Sparrows. Mr. Jenkins rose stiffly and moved with his peculiar stork-like gait to Jenny. I don't know why I thought I might be of help. This is all over my head. I will only be... a hindrance to the children. You had better send me back to my school. At least there are no surprises for me there. What about this morning? But Jenny asked. That was not a surprise to you? For you? I cannot tell you why you have been sent to us, Mr. Jenkins, because I myself do not yet know, but Meg named you. The full implications of this are not yet clear to me. It means that you are part of whatever is going to happen. Mr. Jenkins moaned, but Jenny stretched out his arms, embracing them all in the gesture. The mitochondrion to where I am sending you is known as Yada. It is Sparrows' birthplace. Sparrows danced around, twinkling in outrage. Meg shouted at him, if you aren't Charles Wallace, if he's your galaxy, you couldn't be in a more special place. Louise sent her sibilant song towards Meg. All anger vanished when Meg caught from Louise's song another projection of Charles huddled under the blankets. His mother lifted him to prop him up on pillows to ease his labored breathing, then pulled down the blankets so that Dr. Louise could listen to his heart with her stethoscope. She looked up gravely, and Meg understood that she was suggesting that perhaps they had better call Brookhaven. Oxygen, then. Meg cried out to Louise the larger and Jenny. Wouldn't oxygen help Charles? For a while, Dr. Kalubra will see to that when the time comes. Tears rushed to Meg's eyes. Oh, Louise, take care of him. Don't let him stop fighting. Mr. Jenkins asked, would anybody in his right mind let a snake near a sick child? Dr. Louise will, Meg said. I'm sure she will, from something she said in Mother's lab the other night. But Jenny, isn't Dr. Louise a teacher too? But Jenny nodded. Meg's heart gave a leap of hope. Snakes, Mr. Jenkins murmured. Mitochondria. Echthroi. Meg swallowed a hiccupy sob, took off her glasses, and wiped the tear-smeared lenses. Mr. Jenkins looked at her and spoke in his most stilted academic voice. Man, the mean point in the universe. And Charles Wallace, is that it? At this moment in time, Charles Wallace is the point of equilibrium? But Jenny nodded gravely. So what happens with his mitochondria and Farandoli? He looked to Meg for explanation. She tried to pull herself together. Remember, Mr. Jenkins, he agreed on Benjamin Franklin saying, we must all hang together, or surely we will all hang separately. That's how it is with human beings and mitochondria and Farandoli, and our planet too, I guess, and the solar system. We had to live together in harmony, or we won't live at all. So if something is wrong with Charles Wallace's mitochondria, her voice trailed off. Mr. Jenkins shook his head. What can we do? What can we possibly hope to do? But he cried out in horror. Oh no! The suit of Mr. Jenkins they had seen before was moving rapidly towards them. Louise reared her black coils upward with a horrible hissing. Quickly! But Jenny spread his arms wide, pulling Mr. Jenkins, Sparrows, and Calvin into their span. Proginoskes caught Meg within the strength of his wings. The beat of his heart the beat of his heart. She seemed to become part of the cherubim's heartbeat. The oval pupil dilated, and she went through two. She could not tell where they were. She could only sense the presence of the others. As through a vast echoing tunnel, she heard Blageni, "I would show you something to encourage you before you go." Meg looked about. Ahead of her was a tremendous rhythmic swirl of wind and flame. But it was wind and flame quite different from the cherubims. This was a dance ordered and graceful, and yet giving an impression of complete and utter freedom, of ineffable joy. As the dance progressed, the movement accelerated, and the pattern became clearer, closer, wind and fire moving together, and there was joy and song, melody soaring, gathering together as wind and fire united. And then wind, flame, dance, song, coherent in a great swirling, leaping, dancing, single sphere. Meg heard Mr. Jenkins's incredulous, "What was that?" But Jenny replied, "The birth of a star." Mr. Jenkins protested, "But it's so small I could hold it in the palm of my hand." And then in an indignant snort, "How big am I?" You must stop thinking about size, you know. It is both relative and irrelevant. At this point, Meg could not be bothered with size. She wanted to know something else. "Progo, will the star be named?" "He calls them all by name," the cherubim said. Meg looked in wonder at the star. It was indeed so small that she could have reached out and caught it in her hand, but its flaming was so intense that the song itself came out of the fire and was part of the burning. She thought in wonder, "I must be the size of a galaxy." And then all thoughts dissolved in the glory of the melody and the dance. But Jenny's voice came like thunder. "Now!" She was pulled into Proginoskes again, into the beat of the great heart, into the darkness of the eye, into the... No! She was being consumed by flame. She sensed a violent jolt to the cosmic rhythm, a distortion of wild disharmony. She tried to scream, but no sound came. She felt pain so intense that she could not bear it another second. Another second, and the pain would annihilate her entirely. Then the pain was gone, and she felt once again the rhythm of the cherubic heart, very rapid, faintly irregular. Did it have to hurt that much? Shock and pain made her loud and angry. Her limbs trembled weakly. Proginoskes seemed to be having trouble. His heart continued to race unevenly. She thought she understood him to say, "We had a brush with an Echthros." Her own breathing was a shallow panting. She felt that she was all there, all her atoms reassembled, that she was Meg, and yet when she opened her eyes, she could see nothing but a strange, deep green blackness. She listened, and through what seemed at first to be a sound somewhat like the shrilling of insects on a summer night, she thought she could hear, or perhaps it was feel, a steady, regular pulsing. "Progo, where are we?" "Yada." "You mean we are in Charles Wallace? In one of his mitochondria?" "Yes." It was not conceivable. "What's that sort of thrumming I feel? Is it Charles Wallace's heartbeat?" Proginoskes moved in negation in her mind. "It is the rhythm of Yada. It feels like a heartbeat." "Megling, we're not in Earth time now. We're within Yada. In Farandolite time. Charles Wallace's heart beats something like once a decade." She shivered. Her arms and legs still felt trembly and useless. She blinked, tried to adjust her eyes to the darkness. "Progo, I can't see." "Nobody in the interior can see, Meg. Eyes aren't needed." Her heart beat in frightened counterpoint to the rhythm of the mitochondrion. She could not pay proper attention as Proginoskes said, "It's what might be called circadian rhythm. All life needs rhythm too." She interrupted. "Progo! But Jenny, I can't move!" She felt Proginoskes within her thoughts. His own thinking had calmed considerably. He was recovering from whatever it was that had frightened him and caused her so much pain. But Jenny did not come with us. "Why?" "There's no time for silly questions." "Why is it silly? Why can't I see? Why can't I move?" "Meg, you must stop panicking or I won't be able to kite with you. We won't be able to help each other." She made a tremendous effort to calm down, but with each heartbeat she felt only more tense, more frightened. How could her heart be pounding so rapidly if Charles Wallace's beat only once a decade? Proginoskes thought noisily at her. Time isn't any more important than size. All that is required of you is to be in the now, in this moment which has been given us. I don't feel like myself. I'm not myself. I'm part of Charles Wallace. Meg, you are named forever. But Progo, say the multiplication table. Now who's being silly? Madeleine, it will help bring you to yourself. Try. I can't. Her mind felt battered and numb. She could not even remember enough to count to 10. What's 7 times 8? She responded automatically. 56? What's the product of 2/3 and 5/7? Her mind whirled, cleared. 10 over 21? What's the next prime number after 67? 71? Can we think together now? There was a considerable concern in Proginoskes' questioning. The concentration the cherubim had thrust on Meg had calmed her panic. I'm okay. Where's Calvin? Where's Mr. Jenkins? And that Sparrows? They're all here. You'll be able to kive with them soon. But first we had to find out what the second test is. Find out? Her mind was still burned from pain and fright. He was patient with her, as we found out what the first test was. You guessed that, she said. Do you know what this one is? I think it has to do with Sparrows. But what? This is what we must discover. We have to hurry then. She tried to check her impatience. Meg, I have to work with you and Mr. Jenkins together because he isn't capable of letting me move about in his mind as you can, so you'll have to help. The grown, For Andoli don't talk the way people do, they kive. Like cherubim? Some of the ancient ones, yes, but the younger ones, it's a little closer to what you call mental telepathy. Never mind the degree, Mr. Jenkins can't understand kithing at all, and you'll have to help him. I'll try, but you'll have to help me, Progo. Stretch out your right hand. I can't move. That doesn't matter. Move your hand in your mind. Kive it. Kive that Mr. Jenkins is standing by you and that you're reaching out to hold his hand. Are you doing it? I'm trying. Can you feel his hand? I think so. At least I'm making believe I can. Hold it tightly so that he knows you're there. Her hand, which was no longer her hand in any way she had known before, nevertheless moved in the remembered pattern, and she thought she felt a slight pressure in return. She tried to kite to the principal. Mr. Jenkins, are you there? Here! It was like an echo of a faintly remembered voice hoarse with chalk dust, but she knew that she and Mr. Jenkins were together. Meg, you'll have to kive him everything I tell you. If I move into his mind, I hurt him. He can't absorb my energy. Now, try to translate simultaneously for him. Make him see that a grown Farandola's matter does not move, except as a plant does, or a tree when there is no breeze to cause its motion, or as the great kelp forests move. A grown Farandola moves by kithing. Kithing is not going to be easy for Mr. Jenkins because it has been a great many years since he's known himself, his real self. Meg sighed with a kind of anxious fatigue, suddenly realizing the enormous amount of energy taken by this intense kithing. The cherubim moved lightly, swiftly within her, and as kithing moved through and beyond her senses to an awareness she had never known before. She groped to contain it in images which were within Mr. Jenkins's comprehension. The sea, a vast, curving, never-ending sea. It was as though they were in the sea, deep down under the water's surface, deeper than a whale can dive. The surface of the sea, and any light which might penetrate the surface, was hundreds of fathoms away. In the dark depths there was movement which was part of the rhythm she had mistaken for Charles Wallace's heartbeat. The movement assumed shape and form, and images were kived to her mind's eye, visual projections superimposed swiftly one over the other. She tried to send them to Mr. Jenkins. A primordial fern forest, a giant bed of kelp swaying to submarine currents, a primeval forest of ancient trees with rough silver bark, underwater trees with silver gold green foliage which undulated rhythmically, not as though the long fronds were being blown by a wind or current, but of their own volition, like the undulation of those strange sea creatures halfway between plant life and animal life. To the visual images, music was added, strange, unearthly, rich, the surging song of the surrounding sea. Farandoli. She felt confusion and questioning from Mr. Jenkins. To him, farandoli were little scampering creatures like sparrows, not like the sea trees she had been trying to show him. Proginoskes kived, the sea trees, as you call them, are what sparrows will become when he deepens. They are then called fara. Once he is deepened, he will no longer have to run about. A grown fara is far less limited than a human being is by time and place, because farae can be with each other any time and any place. Distance doesn't separate them. They move without moving? Meg asked. You might put it that way. Am I to learn to move without moving too? Yes, Meg. There's no other way in a mitochondrion. There's nothing for you to stand on in Yada, and no space for you to move through. But because you're an earthling, and earthlings excel in adaptability, you can learn this motionless motion. Are you translating for Mr. Jenkins? I'm trying. Keep on, Meg. We'll have time to rest later, unless... She felt a small sharp pain, which was immediately withdrawn. Some of the ancient ones can kive not only from mitochondrion to mitochondrion within their human hosts, but to farandoli on mitochondria and other human hosts. Do you remember how shocked Sparrows was when Calvin told him that human beings can't do that kind of thing? Yes, but Progo, Mr. Jenkins doesn't understand about Sparrows running around like a toy mouse. I don't understand it either. He isn't a bit like the sort of sea things you just showed us. Sparrow says, as he said, only a child, although he was juggling chronologies when he said he was born yesterday. Farandola, well into adolescence, has already passed through its early stages and taken root and is becoming a grown Farah. It is nearly time for Sparrows to leave childhood and deepen. If he does not, it will be another victory for the Echthroi. But why wouldn't he deepen? Calvin is having trouble kiving with him. Sparrows is holding back. We have to help him deepen, Meg. That's our second test, I'm sure it is. To make an unwilling Sparrows deepen, it seems a more impossible ordeal than naming one of three Mr. Jenkinses. How do we do it? He countered with another question. Are you calm? How are you? All right. A little confused by everything. Sparrows. Where? No. How is Sparrows? Meg, he doesn't want to kive or be with me. He doesn't want to share his world. He says that human beings are unworthy, and that may be so, but... She felt the swirling of kiving all around her, as though the words and images of the kiving were the drops of water which go to make up the ocean, drops of water which are not separate one from the other as human beings are separate. Within the flowing of the deep tides, images flashed by, many little creatures like sparrows scampering about, carefree, merry, always in the protection of the great kelp fern trees, the deepened ones, about which they flitted and fluttered. Are you translating for Mr. Jenkins? I'm trying, Progo, but I'm not sure I really feel him. I know that I'm with you, and with Calvin, but Mr. Jenkins, be with him, Meg. He needs you. He's frightened. If Bajeti wanted him along, there must be a reason for it, but it seems to me he's an awful liability. She thought she felt a thin, distant, I am aware of that. She stretched herself toward the faint response. Mr. Jenkins, that's right, Proginoskes said. Remember, he hasn't much imagination, or rather, it's been frozen for a long while and hasn't had time to thaw. You'll have to kive your whole self to him. You'll have to hold his hand tightly so that he can feel you and return your kive. Can you feel his hand? I imagine so. Can he feel you? Mr. Jenkins, she kived questioningly. Wait a minute, Progo. Cal, I'm not sure. Something's wrong. She broke off, gasped. Calvin! Progo! With every particle of herself, she screamed. Not a scream made with her voice, but with all of her, a scream of pain that was beyond terror. It was the same pain that had turned across the galaxy when Proginoskes had shown her the X-ing of the Echthroi. It was the pain which had slashed across the sky in the schoolyard when she had named Mr. Jenkins. It was the pain which had almost annihilated her when Proginoskes took her the strange journey through his eyes to Yada. She was being axed.